I want to welcome UTRGV President Dr. Guy Bailey to our Futuro RGV discussion on how COVID-19 is affecting the planning for university students to continue their education this fall. And Futuro RGV moderator Felipe Salinas will review these plans with Dr. Bailey in opening the education opportunities in the midst of all this COVID-19 pandemic. And I do want to thank our Futuro RGV sponsors who help bring these education opportunities to us all, help us to bring them to you. So these discussions and those of other Valley leaders will be on our Futuro RGV Facebook page, YouTube, and social media for further viewing. And now, Felipe, I will turn this over to you and Dr. Guy Bailey to help us understand what we are learning to help our educators and our students cope with this COVID-19 pandemic. So Felipe.
Thank you, Nedra. Thanks, Dr. Bailey, good to see you again. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Good to see you as well.
Great. Well, Dr. Bailey, as Nedra said, you know, the purpose of the series is to allow some of our area's leaders in various sectors kind of talk to us a little bit about how they're coping with the situation right now, and also to look a little bit further ahead in terms of some of the things that we're learning from this and what this might mean for the future. So, you know, we know the university has been preparing for the start of the fall semester for some time now. So can you just give us some of the highlights of how that process has been carried out? And a little bit about what those plans include in terms of distance versus in-person instruction, what it might mean for faculty and staff coming back to campus.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate this. It's a chance to, I think, to lay out for people just how seriously we've taken this. This is a once in a century occurrence. And so, remember the Spanish flu, and so we understand how devastating that was. So it's something we have to take very seriously, and we have taken it that seriously here. For us, the safety and security of our students is foremost. Secondly, the continuation of their education. So two things: we want you to be safe, healthy. We want some security, you to feel secure about that. But we want you to continue your education in the face of this. And you have to do this. So to plan for the fall, and really including the summer too, we appointed a committee on our campus headed up by Dr. Jack Krause, who is our Executive Vice President for Health Affairs, Dean of the School of Medicine, and the most knowledgeable person we have about these issues. And we asked Dean Krause to work with a group of faculty and staff and students to plan what we would do in the summer and the fall. And so we decided that given the ongoing spread of the COVID-19 at the time, we'd do everything this summer online, and we did, or I'd say remotely. Some of that is synchronous learning, some of it's asynchronous, but it's all remote. And that's gone very well. Our enrollments have been a record this summer. Our summer enrollment's up by about 35%. I've never seen anything quite like it. And so students have continued their education. They're persisting in the face of the most difficult thing many of them have ever faced. And I'm very proud of them for that. We also asked them to look at fall and asked this committee to study it carefully, to look at CDC guidelines, the advice of all the medical professionals. And so we wanted to ensure the health and safety of our students and to ensure that they continued their education. So we have a plan for fall semester. The majority of things we're going to be doing will be remote or online. We'll also have some face-to-face things on campus as well. You know, there's some things you can't do very well remotely. Labs are hard to do. Right. It's hard to get in there and, you know, when I was in college, cut the frog up, right? In biology. So I don't know if they do that anymore, but still, those labs require dance. How do you teach dance remotely? I mean, there are some things that, you know, you just can't do very well over the internet. And so
Sure.
we're trying to do those things face to face. But what we've done, we've got 4 types of classes that we're offering. And some of them are going to be completely online. Most of our large sections will be online like that. Some of them will be online, but synchronous. That is, you'll join a Zoom meeting like this and you'll have your class live and face-to-face with your instructor. Your instructor can see you there. And so we'll have some of those too. We'll have some hybrid campus classes where you have some classes on campus, but some done remotely. And then we'll have some classes that are all on campus. The classes that are either all on campus or hybrid, we've got significant social distancing there. So for example, if we have a class of 30, it'll be taught in a room for 150. If we have a lab that normally seats 20, we'll probably have 5 people in there. We'll have the social distancing done. You'll have to wear masks to come on campus. We do already. And every time I go out, I wear a mask. When you come on our campus, please wear a mask. You want to ensure your own safety, but the safety of others as well.
Sure.
And so every act. And so we think we've got a plan in place for the fall that meets all the CDC guidelines. It provides social distancing when you're on campus. That provides educational opportunities so you don't have to come to campus. You'll have some choice there, and that will help you continue your education. Here's the key thing. This is a terrible thing, but you can't let it derail you, because the impact can last far longer than a year or so if it hinders your education.
Right, right.
That's what we're trying to ensure.
Can you just, you touched a little bit about, the mask requirement and the social distancing in classrooms. Can you elaborate a little bit more and what other measures the university is taking to ensure the health and safety of students, faculty, and staff?
Sure.
Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. You have to wear the facial coverings. We will have the social distancing. We've installed hand sanitizers all over the campus, right? Wash your hands. It's the most important thing you can do. The classrooms will be equipped with disinfectant wipes for wipe stations, so faculty and students can do that. We'll clean those classrooms thoroughly and disinfect them every day. And so all of those things will be, we followed the guidelines. We also have significant testing available on our campus. If you go up to Edinburgh, for instance, you'll see that we test 1,000 people a day. And
right.
So we have significant testing capacity, but we also have that in our student center and our wellness centers for faculty. So in all of our health centers, we have testing available as well. And we will test everybody who needs it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Dr. Bailey, we also know, we've heard a lot about this with the public school discussion also, but I'm sure it's an issue for university and college students. A large percentage of students in the Valley lack or have limited internet service.
That's right.
or face other technology obstacles to distance learning. What's the university doing to assist them for this fall? What kind of steps are y'all taking to help address that issue?
The first thing, we're using our CARES money, and we received about $36 million from the federal government through the CARES legislation.
Okay.
About 2/3, I think about 3/4, I think about 75% of that will go directly to students in the form of cash payments.
Okay.
And so we had an emergency fund set up this summer, and many of the students dipped into that emergency fund for technology needs. But this fall, if you go to UTRGV, we'll provide every student with $1,000 in cash. If you're CARES eligible, it will come from CARES. If you are not CARES eligible, and there are some students who aren't, we've got that covered as well. So
is the eligibility kind of tied, for example, to Pell Grant eligibility in terms of financial need?
Yes. In other words, essentially Pell eligible students, some of the international students are not, new freshmen are not, but we have some incentives for those students built in. So I would encourage you to go to our website and check out our fall relief package.
Okay.
The fall relief package will explain all of this. But for the CARES eligible students, and that's a significant body of our portion of our students. Remember, 2/3 of our students are on Pell Grants, right? And so we'll provide you with $500 in cash when you're in. If you're enrolled by, I think it's August the 7th, but the deadline you can check. If you're enrolled by that date, you will receive a $500 cash payment shortly thereafter. And then on Census Day, you'll receive another $500 cash payment. Now, we can't tell you how to use this. This is, that's part of the CARES guideline. It needs to be used to help you deal with issues that impede your education. In some cases, that might be food security, food issues. In many cases, it will be technology. But one reason we're giving this money out before the semester starts is to help students address some of the technology issues that we know they face.
Great. So you mentioned the CARES Act funding. I was going to ask you about that. So you mentioned that most of the funds are directly went to students. Or have you earmarked how to use the other funds? Or there, I'm sure you can't.
Sure.
If it's federal
There's
money,
there's a significant cost for putting things online.
Sure.
And part of the reason the federal government sent that money was to help address those costs.
Okay.
There are significant increases in costs to ensure clean classrooms. And so we had to add staff to sterilize those classrooms to make sure that they were completely clean.
I see.
And, we know there are a number of students who don't have Wi-Fi either, but all of our parking lots on campus have hotspots. And so you can simply come on to a parking lot. You don't even have to get out of the car. And you can do that from our parking lot. Our labs and our libraries have those hot spots, and there will be social distancing, masks required, everything to ensure your health, welfare, and safety.
I see. So, Dr. Bailey, the pandemic has forced every sector of our community to navigate uncharted waters and learn how to fulfill our missions in different ways. Yeah. So, speaking as a president of the university, I mean, what would you say is the biggest lesson that you've learned throughout all this? I mean, what's one of the biggest?
I think there are two things. First of all, you always have to be flexible. You never know what curves life is going to throw you. And so now, fortunately, I've lived a long time, and so I've seen many curves. Never one that curved quite this much, though.
Sure.
And so in life, you have to be flexible to deal with those curves. That's the first thing. The second thing, you can't let those kinds of disruptive things permanently disrupt you. It's important to keep moving forward and to not let this change your whole path in life. You're going to have hardships like this throughout your life. Keep moving forward. If you can keep moving forward, if you can deal with things in a flexible way that enables you to move forward, you can take a bad situation and make the best of it. And that's what I'm really proud of our students for. I mean, they've been dealt a terrible hand here. And the vast majority of them just kept moving forward. And so what we have tried to do as an institution, ask ourselves this question: how can we best help our students meet the needs they have right now and continue to move forward in their educational progress? And so that's what we've tried to do.
As you know, we were talking before we started about I retired recently, and I know what you're saying. Not only the students, I've seen that many of your faculty and staff who I'm friends with on social media, I see the great efforts they're going through.
It's been a tremendous, I mean, it just changes your whole life. Let's say that I'm a faculty member. I have 2 or 3 kids at home. I'm trying to teach, and suddenly I've got children I'm looking at. Your whole life changes. Your whole cycle of your life changes. The day-to-day routine. And so flexibility, but not losing sight of what you're trying to achieve. It's so easy to have this, cause you to lose your focus, lose sight on what you're trying to achieve. but our faculty, our staff, our students have been pretty focused, and I'm really proud of what they've done.
That's great. So as you look ahead, what do you think are some of the longer term implications of these past few months for higher education? I mean, what do we as a community or our state need to address in terms of either policy or operations to ensure we're better prepared to face similar situations in the future?
That's a great question. It has been a big lesson. I think there are a couple of things. First of all, if you do what's best for your students, everything else is going to fall in place. And so you have to, and again, we get into a routine and we don't always stop and ask that question. We've been doing it for our students this way for 30 years. Why would we change now? Or in my case, I've been in higher ed 41 years, and doing it this way 41 years. Why would we change? But what something like this does, it makes you step back and ask yourself, what's really in the best interest of our students? What's good for them? What should we be doing? I think this whole pandemic will help us refocus our efforts on the success of our students, on what they need to move forward and to be successful. We forget that all of them deal with, every student deals with something in his or her life. Mm-hmm. And so how do we marshal our efforts? How do we focus our efforts to help them continue to be successful? So I hope the big lesson we've learned from this is this: if we focus on our students and their success, everything else will fall in place.
Oh, great. Well, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. We appreciate
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate what you're doing and what you're doing for our students in the community. So thank you again. And we look forward to seeing what happens in the next few months. Thank you.
Well, best of luck. We're very proud of our students, our faculty, and our staff, and we just want to keep focused on what they need. So thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.